Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer everyone to today's fascinating deep dive into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in the world of rare coins, where something as ordinary as a 1975 1-cent penny, the kind you might have overlooked in your pocket change, turns out to hold a staggering value of up to $79 million, a story that captures the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Because this little coin, which was meant to represent the simplest denomination of currency, a single cent, has somehow risen to become one of the most talked about mysteries in numismatics, not because of its intended design, but because of the rare and peculiar errors, mistakes, and mint mark oddities that transform it into a once-in-a-lifetime piece, the kind of item that defines collections and sparks heated debates about rarity, chance, and the quirks of minting history. And as we peel back the layers of why a 1975 penny, usually worth no more than its face value, could skyrocket into the tens of millions, we enter a realm where every tiny detail on a coin, every misstrike, every misplaced mint mark, and every unintentional variation can make the difference between an ordinary penny and a life-changing fortune, because the US Mint, while remarkably precise, is not immune to the occasional blunder, and it is these rare blunders, preserved by chance, that end up being prized above all else, with the 1975 penny standing as a perfect example of how history, error, and human curiosity collide in spectacular fashion. And to truly appreciate why this penny has been assigned such a phenomenal value, we need to explore what kind of errors make coins so valuable in the first place, since errors like double die strikes where the coin is struck more than once with slightly different alignments create doubled images of letters or numbers, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the blank wasn't lined up properly, or even the rare use of the wrong planchet where a coin is struck on a metal blank intended for a different denomination, all make coins widely collectible. And then there are the mint mark errors, those small letters that designate where a coin was minted, such as D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all, and in some rare instances, these mint marks get misplaced, repunched, or even forgotten altogether. And it is believed that the 1975 penny that commands this jaw-dropping $79 million value carries a combination of such anomalies, with stories circulating about misstrikes that caused a doubling of features, unusual die variations, and mint mark irregularities that make it unlike any other penny in circulation. And beyond the physical errors themselves lies the law of rarity, because when only a handful, or sometimes only one, of such coins exists, demand skyrockets, and collectors are willing to pay unimaginable sums to own a piece of history so unique that no one else can claim it. And that is exactly what elevates the 1975 penny into legend, because while millions of ordinary 1975 pennies rolled out of the mint and made their way into circulation without a second thought, the few with fatal flaws were overlooked, tucked away, and eventually rediscovered, igniting a frenzy in the numismatic world. And as news spread of one such penny being valued at tens of millions of dollars, casual observers were stunned, wondering how a coin meant to buy almost nothing could suddenly be worth a fortune greater than many homes, while experts nodded knowingly, recognizing that the mix of rarity, historical context, and collector demand is what creates these explosive valuations. And when you consider that coins are not just metal discs but snapshots of history, bearing the marks of the year they were struck, the mint that produced them, and sometimes even the human errors of the engravers and machine operators, you begin to understand why a single mistake could make the difference between a common cent and a priceless artifact. And the 1975 penny's story becomes even more thrilling when you think of the possibilities, because many experts speculate there could still be more error pennies from that year hiding in collections, change jars, or forgotten drawers, just waiting to be recognized for what they are. And that possibility adds another layer of excitement, because it means anyone holding a 1975 penny might be holding an unnoticed treasure. And in this sense the 1975 penny is not just about money, but about mystery, about the thrill of discovery, about the dream that something ordinary could be extraordinary if only you look closely enough. And that is the allure that keeps collectors searching, keeps auctions buzzing, and keeps this story alive. And while most people will never encounter such a rarity, the mere existence of a $79 million penny inspires wonder, and serves as a reminder that value is not always about what something was meant to be, but about the quirks and accidents of history that make it unique. And so when you next glance at a penny, especially one from the mid-1970s, don't be too quick to dismiss it, because you never know when a tiny error might transform spare change into a life-altering fortune, a reality proven by the legendary 1975 penny whose story continues to enchant, astonish, and inspire curiosity in everyone who hears it, ensuring its place not only as a rare coin but as a cultural phenomenon that blurs the line between everyday objects and priceless treasures. One of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of rare coins, because what you're about to hear is the story of a coin that on the surface looks like just another everyday penny, the simple copper-colored coin that you might toss into a jar or even lose between your couch cushions, but instead it holds a staggering value of around $46 million, and yes, you heard that right, a single penny. A 2000 1-cent piece that defies all expectations of what a coin is supposed to be worth, and the reason it is so incredibly valuable has nothing to do with the metal content, the design itself, or even its age, since the year 2000 does not sound ancient compared to other historical coins, but rather it's due to a combination of factors including minting errors, die mistakes, unusual variations, and mint mark irregularities that transform an ordinary-looking object into an almost mythical treasure for collectors and historians. And to understand why this coin is worth $46 million, we first need to dive into the world of error coins, where mistakes that usually escape unnoticed during the minting process end up creating anomalies that become highly sought after in the numismatic community, because for coin enthusiasts an error is not a flaw in the sense of damage but a unique fingerprint that makes a piece rare, one of a kind, and in some cases priceless. And when we talk about the 2000 penny, we're referring to a Denver Mint struck coin that should normally be just another Lincoln cent worth 1 cent in circulation, but somewhere along the minting line something went drastically wrong, or perhaps a series of mistakes occurred that caused this specific coin to stand apart from billions of others produced that year, and those errors may involve doubling on the design where the letters or numbers appear to be struck twice, off-center strikes where the image is shifted, wrong planchette errors where the design is struck on a blank meant for a completely different coin, or a misplaced mint mark, which is one of the most famous reasons behind its legendary status, because the mint mark tells us where the coin was produced, and in some cases when it appears in the wrong place, in the wrong size, or in a misaligned form, the rarity increases exponentially, and collectors lose no time in chasing such unusual versions. And in the case of this penny, the speculation and reports suggest that its mint mark error combined with possible double die or striking anomalies created an object that is absolutely unique, so unique that it is not merely a rare coin but one of a kind in the known world. And when you have an item where supply is literally one and demand is global, with wealthy collectors, museums, and investors all vying for ownership, the price can skyrocket into the tens of millions, as it did for this 2000 penny, because while its face value is only 1 cent, its collectible worth is tied to human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the thrill of owning something no one else can have. And to understand why people pay such astronomical sums, you have to consider that in the art world, paintings with mistakes or rare drafts can fetch unimaginable sums. In the stamp world, a printing error can make a tiny square piece of paper worth millions, and in coins the same principle applies, because errors make them rare and rarity drives value. And in the context of the 2000 penny, it is not just about being rare but about being perceived as the pinnacle of numismatic discovery, the kind of item that even veteran collectors dream about but never actually encounter. Because imagine holding in your hand a coin you might casually pass in change, but knowing that it could change your life forever, and this possibility fuels the excitement around error pennies, which is why millions of people now check their coin jars and pocket change for anomalies like doubled lettering, unusual spacing, or off-center strikes, hoping they too might stumble upon a hidden fortune. And when experts confirmed the 2000 penny with this remarkable set of errors was genuine and authenticated, it was instantly elevated from a curiosity to a legend, because authentication in the coin world is everything. It separates myth from reality and speculation from actual market value. And once the word spread, its auction price soared until it reached an astonishing $46 million, a number that shocks people who can't imagine a penny carrying such weight in the financial sense, but it makes perfect sense to those who understand how scarcity and collector psychology create value. And the story of this coin also serves as a reminder of how small mistakes in large institutions like the US Mint can ripple across decades to produce treasures beyond measure. And what makes the tale even more captivating is the possibility that there may be other such anomalies out there still undiscovered, sitting quietly in collections, or hiding in plain sight in someone's drawer. Because when billions of coins are struck every year, even the smallest oversight can become a goldmine for the right finder. And so the 2000 penny that is worth $46 million stands not just as a financial marvel but as a symbol of how history, chance, and human obsession intersect to give extraordinary meaning to the most ordinary objects. And it leaves us all with that irresistible question whenever we pick up a penny: could this be the one? Could this small copper disc be the key to unimaginable fortune? And that sense of possibility is why this story continues to capture attention worldwide, turning a humble cent into one of the most famous and valuable coins in modern history. Today we are going to explore one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of modern coin collecting, a tale that begins with something as small and ordinary as a single 1-cent penny from the year 2012 and ends with values so staggering they almost sound unreal, because believe it or not, there is a version of the 2012 penny that collectors and numismatists alike talk about with amazement. A coin that through a series of minting mistakes, unique circumstances, and rare anomalies has been reported to hold a value that can climb as high as $34 million, yes, $34 million, making it not just a coin but a rare treasure hidden in plain sight. And when we think about a penny, most of us picture the smallest denomination of American currency, copper-plated zinc, something we drop into jars, let roll under couches, or ignore in parking lots. But in this case the penny transcends its simple face value because of its errors and the mysterious circumstances of its minting. And to understand why a 2012 penny can be worth millions, we first have to explore what gives error coins their extraordinary worth, since in coin collecting rarity and uniqueness are the most powerful drivers of value, and an error coin by its very nature exists outside the norm. The US Mint operates with precision, but when mistakes occur, whether in the striking process, in the application of the mint mark, in the alignment of dies, or even in the composition of metals, they create coins that stand out, coins that are anomalies, and anomalies in the world of collecting are often prized far above their ordinary siblings. So when we focus on the 2012 penny, we discover reports of striking errors where the design may have doubled, of misaligned mint marks that were either missing, misplaced, or incorrect, of off-centered images and unusual die clashes. And in some rare instances coins that were struck on the wrong planches altogether, meaning that instead of being struck on the blank meant for a penny, it may have been pressed onto a blank intended for another denomination. And such accidents, while rare, do happen, and when they do the result can be a coin with immediate rarity that skyrockets in collector value. But what makes this particular penny so special is not just a simple error. It is the layered combination of mistakes and anomalies which together make it nearly impossible to find another like it, thus creating the conditions for astronomical worth. Because collectors will pay extraordinary sums for uniqueness, especially when it carries historical intrigue and mystery, and the 2012 penny in question has all of those qualities, an everyday coin transformed by its flaws into something priceless. Imagine the buzz among collectors when whispers began about a penny carrying the wrong mint mark, when some versions showed unusual doubling on Lincoln's profile, when others seemed to bear evidence of die deterioration that produced ghostly distortions, and when rumors spread that one specimen had been confirmed as a once-in-a-lifetime minting mistake that essentially made it the only known copy of its kind. And because numismatic value is driven by supply and demand, the combination of being utterly unique and highly desirable means the price tag is not limited by face value. In fact, it is not limited at all, so auctions, private collectors, and institutions alike would be willing to pay sums that spiral upward into the millions. And the figure that has captivated so many headlines is $34 million, a price so unbelievable it makes people check their pockets, wonder if they have one of these pennies lying around unnoticed, and fuels the excitement and mythos of coin hunting, which itself has always thrived on the possibility that ordinary change could contain extraordinary fortune. So why 34 million, some may ask? And the answer is tied to rarity compounded by hype, by bidding wars, and by the perception that a coin like this is more than currency. It is a piece of history, a unique artifact, a once-in-forever collectible, and with every layer of uniqueness its value rises exponentially. So while most 2012 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, the idea that one or a handful might contain mint mark errors, striking mistakes, or planchette anomalies that set them apart fuels a fever of speculation. And serious collectors know that provenance, confirmed grading, and authenticated errors are what separate an ordinary penny from the holy grail of numismatics, making the story of the 2012 penny not just about money but about the passion of the hobby, the thrill of discovery, and the reminder that treasures can come in the smallest forms. So as we unravel this tale we see the bigger picture, that the worth of this coin lies in its rarity, its errors, its mint mark anomalies, and its story. A story that elevates a penny from pocket change to priceless collectible, a story that invites every viewer and every coin enthusiast to imagine the possibility of finding their own fortune tucked away in a jar of pennies, because in the end the $34 million penny is not only about its market value, it is also about the wonder it inspires, the pursuit of rarity, and the extraordinary reality that even the smallest things can carry the greatest worth. The world of coin collecting, a story that revolves around an ordinary-looking 1996 1-cent penny that carries a face value of just a single cent but has been reported and speculated in certain collector circles to be worth an astounding $56 million because of its unique errors, minting mistakes, and the mysterious anomalies that elevate it from being a simple copper-plated zinc coin into a legendary numismatic treasure. And while most people pass over pennies without a second glance or even leave them lying in drawers, car cup holders, or sidewalks, the 1996 penny has found itself at the center of myths, heated debates, and endless curiosity because coins like this remind us that sometimes what seems ordinary can hide extraordinary secrets, and in this case it is the tiny imperfections, slips in the minting process, and especially the misplacement or distortion of mint marks that transform a common coin into something so breathtakingly rare and valuable, so rare in fact that even seasoned collectors often doubt its existence or authenticity until shown the evidence, and yet it is these very flaws and peculiarities that make the coin story compelling and worth unpacking in detail, starting with the broader picture of why coin errors matter so much, because you see, when the US Mint produces billions of coins each year, the expectation is uniformity, precision, and perfection. But every so often a machine misaligns, a die cracks, a double strike occurs, or the wrong planchet is used, and these small mechanical or human errors that normally would be caught and discarded manage to slip through the system, eventually entering circulation, and once they are out there they become treasures in disguise, attracting the attention of collectors willing to pay astronomical sums for rarity and uniqueness. And the 1996 penny is thought to be one of those magical cases where a seemingly mundane coin takes on a value that dwarfs even the rarest precious metals, primarily because of a mistake involving its mint mark, where the letter designating the mint location, such as D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, appears incorrectly positioned, doubled, blurred, or even completely mismatched with the date, and in some rare reports a 1996 penny has been discovered with what looks like overlapping mint marks or an inverted stamp, anomalies that should never have left the mint floor, yet did. And when you combine such a blunder with the year 1996, which itself was a significant transitional period for coin production and saw countless coins produced in massive volumes, the chances of errors multiply, but the odds of finding one that is so pronounced and dramatic shrink to nearly impossible, and it is exactly this impossibility that makes a genuine 1996 penny error so valuable, because collectors and investors chase after what they cannot easily obtain. And with the surge of interest in rare coins, auctions have seen people bid staggering sums for pennies that once bought a piece of candy. So when whispers circulate about a 1996 penny fetching $56 million, even if some take it with a grain of salt, the story sparks enough intrigue to keep enthusiasts searching their change jars and wallets just in case they are holding one of the holy grails of American coinage. And beyond the mint mark, there are other possibilities that contribute to its legendary status, such as off-center strikes where the design is visibly shifted, double die obverse errors where Lincoln's face or the date appears duplicated, planchet errors where the coin is struck on the wrong type of metal, or even broad strikes that cause the edges to appear distorted, and each of these error categories adds value, but when combined with a mint mark anomaly they create a perfect storm of rarity, uniqueness, and desirability, and this is where the mystique of the $56 million penny truly takes shape, because a collector is not merely buying a coin, they are buying a story, a piece of history, and the bragging rights of owning what almost nobody else on earth has. And while skeptics may argue that no penny could possibly be worth that much, history shows otherwise, with rare coins often selling for millions at auction because of a combination of demand, rarity, and narrative. And so even though the 1996 penny started its life as just another cent rolling off the Denver or Philadelphia presses, its fate was altered by the tiniest imperfection, a reminder that perfection is not always the most valuable thing. Sometimes it is the flaw that brings true worth, and that is why collectors tirelessly examine every coin, every mark, every edge under magnifying glasses and microscopes, hoping to spot that irregularity that changes everything. And with the 1996 penny, the legend of its $56 million value continues to inspire new treasure hunters and experienced numismatists alike, teaching us that what we overlook could be the very thing that transforms into a life-changing discovery. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground or sitting quietly in your wallet, remember that it might not be just a penny. It could carry within its coppery face the mystery of history, the thrill of error, and the staggering possibility of being worth more than entire fortunes. And that is why the tale of the 1996 1-cent coin remains one of the most electrifying stories in the world of money.